people? Here with the boy, the final tap out. If you guys were watching my previous video, I made a video targeting gun control in America, and I wanted an opinion from American people. I think it's wrong for someone from outside America to tell Americans how they should live their lives. And mainly, my video is targeted around Piers Morgan. So today, I've got two good guests. One is Billy, the WrestleGamer from the channel youtube.com/WrestleGamer,
What's up? How you doing?
as well as we also have Mr. Caleb, Mr. Smith HD.
What's up, everybody?
Okay, so the first question, I just want to, we're going to work our way through the topics and just work our way towards this whole scheme of things. First, I'll ask you guys with the whole James Hope scenario and the conspiracy theories and what people are saying was, what are your opinions on the whole story and media, as you could say? Because they came out with a story that all of a sudden this guy came into the theater and he propped open a door and he was just firing at people, while some witnesses were saying that there were canisters thrown at different directions, as well as some people said when they looked into the footage, there was actually another gas mask found outside, and there was another gun. And then the conspiracy theorists were really saying along the lines that it's a false flag. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on that first story.
Well, for people should clarify that this is referring to the gun shooting that happened at the movie theater for the I think it was in Colorado for the opening night of Dark Knight Rises. And this gentleman's gone on record saying that he thought himself to be the Joker. And for one thing, you do say he's an intelligent guy, but to me there is a fine line between intelligence and insanity. And for people to saying that's a false flag, I'd like to know what in the world are they smoking, because this dude just got behind some guns and just killed innocent people because he was so delusional he thought he was the Joker. And
Okay,
to me it's
Caleb,
just
what's
not
your
right.
thought?
Yeah, the gal's intelligent, but intelligence doesn't make you any more or less mentally stable. That's like, you could even go back to someone as far as intelligence goes, is like Einstein was a cocaine addict as far as intelligence goes, but I hadn't heard anything about him claiming he was a Joker. I don't know. I guess after the first couple weeks, I kind of dropped following that so much. As far as the conspiracy theories goes, if uh if there was a gas mask and another gun outside, he could have had that out there in case like something malfunctioned or his gun jammed or something like that. I mean, if he was going to go in, if he was as intelligent as he was, if he really wanted to think of a good plan in case he had his back covered, then that might have been a good way to do it. But that doesn't change the fact that he was obviously unstable, considering he goes around and says that he's the Joker and thinks Batman's going to come out and fight him or some crazy junk like that.
And what's your opinions when you look at the conspiracy theorists? What's your take? What's both your guys' takes on the guys who take a scene, right, and they watch what happened, and then they try to find holes in that story and then say it's something to do with the government doing something? What's your thoughts on that?
Unless they have some substantiated evidence to back up their claims, conspirators out there, there's a conspiracy against me learning how to talk. Conspirators out there should learn to keep their big fat bungholes shut.
Well, it's good to question everything. I mean, think. Even if you're watching some of these videos and, you see somebody talking about how, well, this is obviously evidence of this, that might just be evidence for their own agenda. You question everything when it comes to stuff like that. Like, and part of the reason I think is such a big problem is the media glorifies it, and they think if they hop on that media bandwagon, that they'll get extra exposure by doing so.
And that's the last question on this topic I want to speak about, which is basically, what are your thoughts on the media glorifying guys who go out and do these mass shootings? Because they always get their faces seen, from what I've seen on the news, and there's a lot of fame. You look at the James Hope story. He went on to the Tumblr and Facebook. There are people making fan pages for him.
That's half the issue, is people wouldn't be so crazy if they wouldn't be a household name, because I guarantee if half of them were like that, and there's something wrong in their head, they want to make a name for themselves when they go out. They're already assuming that they're gonna die in this, and if their media didn't glorify it and tell everybody their name, half of them would just die in a basement by themselves by shooting themselves.
From a media standpoint, you got to think about it like this as well. From their point of view, they're looking for the next big story to get them that Emmy, to get not only make the person famous in the story, but to make them famous as well. So that's why I do believe we see so much glorifying from media outlets and media people out there when it comes to talking about these psychos.
Which is also part of the reason why it's such a big deal. They could report a story. They could report a story and never have anything about the guy or his picture or anything like that, and still get all their views that they want and all the awards that they would want. But as far as they go on and they make such a big deal about this guy and who this guy was and who this guy's family was and who his friends were, that's just unnecessary, and it's making the person doing all the crazy stuff unnecessarily celebritized. Celebritized, is that a word?
Oh, well, it'll be a word for this video, right, DJ?
It doesn't matter what it is. Okay, so that's covered. So next thing I want to speak to you guys about is with the Sandy Hook story. You
No.
guys know about it. It was a teenager kind of guy, and he ran into a elementary school, and he decided to shoot on to kids as well as the teachers who were actually there. And that's another story where the truthers, they call themselves the truthers, right?
Yeah.
And they came out with a video. This video was uploaded to YouTube, and it's gotten over 10 million views, I think. It's a 30-minute video, which they were saying things along lines like, one of the cases is there was a little girl, Emily, and they say that she wasn't actually killed in this scenario, but she was actually appearing in a photo with Barack Obama. There's a whole lot of stuff based on this video. Did you guys see the video?
Yeah, I've
No,
seen it.
no, I haven't because I don't believe in vilifying those kind of stupid claims with the loss of human life, especially with when it comes to children and this tragedy and the fact that people just want to take it and spin off so many different scenarios for their own personal agenda. It just makes me sick to my stomach to even think about it.
Yeah, I've seen it, but the bottom line is half the pictures that they showed is evident. Like, there's a whole thing on Reddit, like, talking about this video, and I can't remember the guy's username, but he was showing that these pictures where they were claiming there was no ambulances, whenever there was like pictures showing that there was ambulance or that they were blocked in or there was nobody walking around the parking lot and they weren't panicked, where by the way that the sun was positioned, because the shooting happened in the early morning, it was obviously the afternoon because of the way the sun had rotated around. And as far as them saying that there was another shooter in the woods, they caught that guy, and he was a gym teacher that was trying to get, like, he was on his way to work, he was late or something like that. Like, they talked to him, they released him because they found out he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, so basically what they are trying to say from this as well is that with these conspiracy guys who came on to this Sandy Hook, if you guys didn't watch the video, I would say it was like a slap in the face of all the people who went through that tragedy. Because if you watch the video, they actually went on to one segment in which they've got a mother and a father, and they actually are trying to say, like, why are they smiling in this video?
Yeah,
What's your guys' thought on, I think his name is Robbie Park or something like that?
people deal
Before he
with
does
grief
the
differently.
CNN,
Go
you were
ahead,
saying?
Caleb.
I said people deal with grief differently. And then that coroner that was laughing about it is like, it's a tragedy, and don't get me wrong, but if you're a coroner, you're around dead things all the time, and maybe that's how he deals with it being such a tragedy, is just trying to, like, people deal with grief in all kinds of different ways.
And you believe, what do you think?
I just think it's, you know, the main people are just trying to really disassociate themselves with this actual story. People need to really remember that the actual story is around 30 people lost their lives. 18 of them were kids, and the fact that there got conspirators out there who just want to just poke holes left and right and nitpick over like about something that like it's an inch off, or why is this person smiling and whatnot when they shouldn't be smiling, or that they weren't really ambulance there. You know what? People need to realize that and realize that this is a tragedy, and they want to take this and. And spin it off to their own personal agenda just so they can make a point on YouTube or make a point on Reddit or anything. But forgive my language, DJ, but that's fucking wrong.
I also think along the lines that there should be some compassion for life. I find like when these videos come out,
but that's the big
thing.
But that's the big thing. That's the big thing with these people who want to make their point. They have no compassion.
Like for one, I give you an example. Okay, there's this. He's an actor. You'd say he's an actor. His name is Gene Rosen, right? And his job in this whole San Diego scenario is he saved like a bunch of kids who were like running out of the school, and he saved them. What happened after this was that these guys, these conspiracist guys, ended up getting video clip images of him. You could say that like CNN did so many different takes with him because he couldn't hold himself. You know, just after this occurred, he couldn't speak properly onto the camera. And they took those small clip cuts and then they go on to say that he's rehearsing lines. Did you hear about that, Caleb?
I didn't hear about that, but that's just
And
ridiculous.
apparently they've been harassing this guy. I'm talking about there's been millions of people phoning him, saying messages to us, getting death threats. So that's something to do with the media, and that's something I want to touch on basically with the whole San Diego. Last thing just to talk about is basically what happened with the whole guns involved in this, because there were people saying that the assault weapon used here was actually kept into the boot of the car. Then there were scenarios where people were saying that the guns used at the scene was actually the assault weapon and it was a shotgun in the boot. Do any of you have information on this?
Not really.
No, not really. But the fact that I feel for all the families that have been involved in this, because I'm not a conspirator. I'm not one that's gonna come on YouTube and start theories and about weird things that shouldn't be, or try to twist it to my own personal agenda. No, that's not the way I am. I actually have compassion for my fellow man. I actually have compassion for other people, and I feel really, really bad for everyone that got involved in that Sandy Hook Elementary thing. Especially for all the poor kids. Some as young as 6 years old were killed, and people want to take and take stuff like that and just rearrange it for their own personal amusement and just to make their own personal agenda. Really should be fried with a steak, and I'm talking about a steak medium rare.
So basically, what I'm trying to ask you guys is, as you guys know, with the whole gun control, the government is trying to cut down, if I'm right, you guys can correct me, on assault weapons, right?
Yeah, it's assault weapons ban.
Okay, so the thing they're speaking about is that in this, like, see, most people are saying that the reason why this is coming very soon is because of the amount of mass shootings that took place involving assault weapons. But with this scenario, they're saying that the assault weapon was in the boot. He was using handguns. That's what they claim.
Well, that weapon ban is supposed to also limit magazine capacities down to 10, and the whole deal with that is he had 30-round mags or 17-round mag pistols, and which to me that whole ban is kind of ridiculous, because if you know how to load a gun, then regardless of how many is in your magazine, it's not going to matter. And not to mention that the assault weapons that they're targeting do less than 1% of the homicides every year. Hammers literally kill more people in murder cases than assault weapons. So to me, it's just blatantly ridiculous to have any kind of ban like that.
Okay, so moving on from this point, next question I'll ask you guys. Tell me briefly about where you stay, right, in America, and how's the crime levels like where you stay?
Well, I live in the state of Louisiana, and I live out outside the country, outside of for those of you who are familiar with the town of Lafayette, Louisiana. I stay about 10 miles outside of Lafayette, Louisiana, and we're out in the rural country, and crime levels aren't very high out here in the country, but I do hear the stories, I do watch the news, and especially when we get the big tragedies that happen, and I do feel for the people. So that's the kind of the way my life is over here in Louisiana. I don't know about Caleb. I can't speak for Caleb, but I'm pretty sure Caleb can speak for Caleb, right, Caleb?
I don't know. I can't. I don't know if I can do it. I live in pretty much the backwoods of Tennessee. It's about 100 miles north of Memphis, Tennessee, is where I live. And down there, crime is awful. It's pretty god awful. But um, up here where I live, it's minimal. People get robbed sometimes. You know, there's only like I don't know, like 20,000 people in my town. So, robberies happen. I've seen people get their cars stolen, but it's nothing really major as far as
So you mean even with having guns, there's still crime actually occurring?
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I still think that it's something like that would happen. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to relate it to myself, because I live in South Africa, right? And you guys know the crime rate is extremely high.
Hmm.
But we don't have access to guns, and it's still so high. That's what I'm trying to compare it to. So, okay, so next question is, uh, looking at the weapons that they are trying to get rid of, do you think that it will be such a huge scenario? Like a lot of people, like when they're hearing about this, they freak out and they go against. One of the most examples, if you look at Alex Jones, he feels if someone tries to take away the assault weapons, they're coming after all the guns. So what's your thoughts on, like, if they had to take out some of the assault weapons, what's your thoughts on that? Like, would the crime rate go down? Would it go higher? Would it cause like havoc, like in general?
I'll defer to Caleb on this one first.
Okay, Alex Jones is ridiculous, and if anybody is representing guns, it shouldn't be him. Every time he gets in front of a screen, he does nothing but yell and scream, and he doesn't allow anyone else the time to talk. So, first of all, that guy's just out there. And as far as the assault weapons go, like I said, they do like 1%. They're in 1% of all murders, and I don't really. I think the crime rate would be the same with assault weapons banned. On the other hand, if they outlawed all guns, then the criminals there's many guns in the United States that if they outlawed all of them, where only law-abiding citizens didn't have them, then still out on the street are all these unregistered guns that all these criminals and people have. So why wouldn't they skyrocket? Somebody breaks into your house, you're a law-abiding citizen and don't have a gun anymore, and they're just like, hey, I'm taking all this. There's not really much you can do about it. Have fun.
Well, yeah, that's one way to look at it. Another way to look at it is, that I think it would be better to have the kind of assault weapons taken away because it would really take it down, crime wave wise. I mean, like, oh, let's go rob this guy. What we're gonna have? Oh, we're gonna have a stick. Yeah, yeah, that's really gonna pan out. Oh, let's go carjack this guy. What are we gonna have? We're gonna have a BB gun. Yeah, he's really gonna be frightened of a BB gun. Yeah, sure. But I really think if people want to take a stab at gun control, they really, really need to like one increase the security process. The paperwork, the arduous paperwork that you have to go through to get a gun. You have to be properly screened, to get one, and if you don't pass any points at all of the screening process, then you shouldn't get a gun whatsoever.
Hold on a second, Billy. That assault weapons ban is just counting them making the assault weapons. It's just counting them not manufacturing any more AR-15s or stuff like that. It's not counting the ones that are already out. It's like the misconception. That's just like the 10-round mag thing. Is you won't be able to buy another 10-round mag, anything over 10 rounds. It's not counting the people who have, like, let's say behind me here, I have a 22 that holds like 15 22 shells. Like that won't be covered because it's already been produced. It's already owned by a consumer. So it's not like they're gonna go around and collect all these assault weapons that people already own.
And
See,
then
I find that kind of weird because
And
where I stay, when we actually also had a banning of some guns. They actually come to our houses and collect our guns.
And as far as he's talking about with tougher screening, I'll agree with that. You should have to go through a background check. that goes in, like, say if you're 21 or 22 years old, they should have to look at your juvenile one too, the way I see it. Even though it gets expunged and it doesn't necessarily air quotes count anymore in the law process, it should in that, because if you have a history of violent crimes whenever you were 16 or 17 and it got expunged when you were 18, who's to say like you won't go back on that just because you're over 18? That doesn't make any sense. And they should also have like another portion of it, which is a mental check, and which is because half these people that we're talking about obviously had something wrong with them. The Sandy Hook shooting was something that they knew was depressed. Like there's records of his mom telling her babysitter not to turn their back on him and stuff like that because she knew how he was. and and so like mental checks need to be a huge part of that as well.
So looking at what you just said now, right? How hard is it for someone to get a gun in America? Like, if I want to go right now and say I want a gun.
If you walked into a store that sold them, it would probably take you 3 hours because they would run your background check, and that takes a little bit. Then you give them the money. If you pass the background check, you give them the money and walk out with your gun. That's pretty much how it works.
That's extreme. Okay, next question. Looking at how Obama is saying that he wants to take away the guns, what's your whole interpretation of him? As you can say, Bush took over and he left, and then Obama took over. What's your take on him as president in America? Has things gotten better, gotten worse? And I'm only talking in terms of violence.
Oh man, that is a very difficult question to answer, to be honest with you, because if you try to compare the terms of Bush and, well, honestly, a lot of people say the terms of Dick Cheney, if you know what I mean, and Barack Obama, you got two different scenarios and two different things actual happening. We had with Bush, we had the terrorist tragedy that happened with that one, and with Barack Obama, we've been having, a lot of these school shootings and all these these terrible tragedies are happening. So honestly, if I want to be very honest to myself from my point of view, DJ, I have to say they're both about the same. To be honest with you, nothing better and nothing worse. It's both the same as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, as far as violence goes. But if you were to if you were taking out only stuff that happened on like our soil, like as our soil, I mean something that was directly plotted against by another country, saying, or another group like a terrorist organization, then if you were to take out all the terrorist stuff, Obama's would be a little worse. But as far as it really matters, they're both equally have had horrifying stuff happen during their administration.
Okay, and to end up with, I just want to ask you guys this. If you were put in a position, say you are the president, what would you do with the whole gun control? Basically.
Basically, the one thing I've been saying, tougher screening process, more intensive background checks, mental checks, make sure that you're sound mind and body to even possess a gun. Make sure that you don't have a violent criminal record. Basically, if you're an ex-con or a felon, you have no right to a gun whatsoever.
Well, those are the laws now.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Even though they're the laws now, they still do it.
Oh, okay. Um, if I was president, I wouldn't be banning anything because, like I said, I don't think that that would really work. They have all these illegal. They have all these drugs that are illegal. That hasn't stopped them from being all over the country. But I would go through and make sure that it is tougher to, not necessarily tougher, but more thorough before you get a weapon, especially one like that, because you know mental health checks where you sit down with like a shrink or something and actually talk to them and stuff like
A
that.
longer screening process than 3 hours.
Yeah, pretty much. And it shouldn't be easier to get a gun than it is to get mental health checkups. That's the main thing.
Okay, so I want to thank you both for joining me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It was basically just trying to get two Americans' point of view. I wanted a real American's point of view on gun control, what's been happening, the douchebag conspiracists. We were also trying to talk about them as well. And we were just trying to just just to end off and close case on all of these mass things that have been going on during the year. Hope you guys go check out both their channels. Billy, you can shout out your channel.
Yep, we are youtube.com/WrestleGamer. Right now, I'm going through the first 2 Dead Space video games to get ready for the release of Dead Space 3 coming out next week.
And Caleb.
I'm youtube.com/MrSmith69HD, and I do Let's Plays and all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna get Devil May Cry this week, probably Dead Space 3 when it comes out, and I just started a series back on my channel where I teach you how to play Blacklight Retribution, which seems like everybody likes the most. So, thanks for watching.
Thank you guys very much for watching. Please make sure to comment down below if you have any thoughts on this. And we out of here.
Peace out, everybody.
Bye.
Okay, I got